Hola, mi gente, and welcome to Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. This short form podcast features the stories of Latinos from our community, from engineers, business owners, students, and so much more. Each episode will give you a quick boost of motivation and encouragement before starting your day. I'm your host, Sonia Camacho. Thank you for being here. Now let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. Today's guest is Hugo Salmeron. He is an Oregon licensed real estate broker who broke into the industry as a first generation college student and decided to take a detour in his life to be in a position to help other Latinos achieve their dream of home ownership. While doing this, he also inspires Latinos to explore entrepreneurship. With that, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and really dive into the story of where this all began because just getting to know you a little bit, your story is already so inspiring, and I can't wait for the listeners to hear about you.
Yeah, first off, thank you, Sonia, for having me on this podcast. I'm super excited. When I first started into the entrepreneurship, coming from a family that's not really the norm. I think, culturally, nuestra gente, like it's just, you get your W-2 job and that's
Mhm.
as good as it gets, right? Both my parents immigrated here from Mexico, and we really, I grew up in a household where it was paycheck to paycheck, and it was tough. We had some deportations, in our family as well that
Oh,
really, took us for a turn. And being a small child at that time, I didn't really understand. We I was a child, me and my sister. I have an older sister that's 4 years older than me, and we just kind of went through it. And for a long time, I actually wanted to get into law enforcement. I wanted to be a police officer, and so
mm,
that sort of explains. I was a cadet volunteer with the local police department here in the area, beginning at about 15. And that's when I really started getting serious with, this is what I want to do. I want to become a police officer, and leads me to getting a bachelor's in criminal justice. And it was around 2020 where I really started to sort of shift. Ironically, towards the end of my degree, I started learning. It wasn't really what I wanted to do, the quality of life, and I really felt like there was more out there for me. And I really wanted to not only do it for myself and the quality of life for me and my future family, and my parents and my nephew and my sister, like just all inclusive. I really had a vision that getting into a shift work type of career that is very taxing, in several aspects of your life, just wasn't going to fulfill. And I think that industry is or that career is really changing, and it's just not something that really aligns with what I was trying to do. And
mhm.
so when I was a volunteer, one of my buddies, his wife was a real estate agent. And I remember one day he said, "Hey, you should connect with her and see, maybe this is something that, he was aware that I was sort of exploring other options." And, after a meeting with her, I just, I went for it during COVID. I was still working my full-time job, and everything was closed. I'll always remember I think it was October of 2020 when everything was just it was shut down. There was,
Yeah.
nothing was accessible. And so we had all the time in the world. And for 2.5 months straight, I worked full time, worked on my course. It was 150 hours total before I could even consider getting into the industry. And finally passed my exam, and the rest is history. Just with anything entrepreneurship, it's not easy. I think,
Mhm.
know you part of my journey in being an example, not only for nuestra gente and other Latinos, that this is possible. It's just in general to anybody that, I think that in our industry, unfortunately, we, everybody pushes the wins and the wins and the wins of what real estate, people think it is. And it's really difficult. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects of business that, I think a lot of hard work goes into it. And you really have to be, I think, emotionally and really intentional about, you can't just, you're not going to survive in this industry if you come in it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Everybody knows, real estate makes good money. You can buy all the cool stuff, but what does that actually mean for you at the end of the day? And so for me, my vision in this industry is far beyond that. Is being able to help people understand the wealth of investing in real estate, and also
Mhm.
taking an entrepreneurship path where it oftentimes is the unpopular opinion in the household. I mean, you
Yeah.
know I time and time again, the people that you look up to, I've experienced personally, and I still sort of experience that in today, is everybody wants to cheer you on when you're doing really well in the business, but when you're not and you're struggling, people say, "Oh, we told you you shouldn't have done it," or
Yeah.
maybe just go back to working your 9 to 5, or what would it feel like if you had a consistent paycheck every 2 weeks? And
Mhm.
and it's difficult to overcome. I'm a very stubborn individual, and I sort of I thrive off of people telling me that it's not possible, because it only adds fuel to the fire.
Right.
But I also understand that a lot of people aren't like that. And I feel like part of the reason I've been so blessed with the opportunity to overcome is because, I do a lot of personal work when it comes to like personal development. I've been, getting really into that these last, 3 to 4 years, is, reading the books and just being intentional about, working on myself as an individual
Yeah.
to help me in overcoming, all these bigger challenges. Because at the end of the day, nobody's doing the work for you. Nobody
Mhm.
is, you can have all the support in the world, but you have to be, willing to do it yourself. And the biggest thing is be willing to fail. I mean, I've failed so many times, and I've only been doing this since 2020.
Yeah.
And I've lost a ton of money. I've lost relationships. You know, I've lost a lot of things, and I've made a lot of mistakes, but I feel and I know that those mistakes have, I wouldn't be where I am today without making those mistakes.
Exactly. And what can you touch on about mentorship in this industry? Because, in your quick bio that you gave us, and then you said, like, oh, and the rest is history. But what were those first few sales and moments like? I'm sure they were probably terrifying, but how did you find mentorship, and how do you hope to help others in that way as well?
So I think I got pretty lucky in the sense that I sort of landed in a circle where everybody was very supportive of each other already. And,
Mhm.
the people that I surround myself with and that I had access to, really had the vision that, when I grow, you grow.
Yeah.
And that's what really felt like I was where I needed to be, because this industry is very intimidating. I mean, I'm having conversations with individuals every day. They're saying, "Oh, I could never do that." The contracts and it's just the perception that we're dealing with legal documents. And
Mhm.
what helped me the most when I got into this industry was having that support system, and just being able to be walked through the different steps of the process. And after getting comfortable with that, that's when I really started exploring, like how can I take my experience and multiply that with other people.
Yeah.
And that's what really, and I've always thrived in a mentorship role, because I'm all about spreading the wealth. I think that you can't teach somebody to have a work ethic or to want something, and that's my philosophy in everything that I do in this business. Whether I'm helping you buy or sell real estate, or I'm helping you get into the industry, is I can't convince you to do something. You either want it or you don't. But what
Yeah.
I can give you is the support and the resources and everything you need to be successful in the process. And I've when you want it, you can have it. I mean, the opportunities are endless, and I think that's the greatest thing about not just real estate, but any business. If you pursue a
Mhm.
business, the your growth is exponential. Like, you can't there's no end of the road. I mean, you can do whatever you want with what your brand is. And I
Yeah.
think that's super cool. And being able to change the norm in our culture, I think, is the bigger picture. That we see a lot of Latinos being business owners nowadays.
Mhm.
And I love seeing that, because I know that they went against the odds. It was not easy, and they made it happen. and they're continuing. I mean, every day we're seeing new businesses, even if it's your, small mom and pop shop off Instagram, they're
Yeah.
making it happen. And I think long term that's really going to change, it's going to change the norm, and little by little, it's going to shift. The W2 lifestyle doesn't have to be the only lifestyle.
Yeah,
What if
definitely.
we, and re-envisioned what it looks like to uh, be more present with your family, or have more time to do the things that you love, while still, maybe even doing something that you love even more as your quote unquote job, instead of working your 9 to 5. And this isn't, and this isn't to say that, all people hate their 9 to 5s, because some people
Mhm.
really love their jobs. But I feel like there's also a lot of people that, they're where they're at, and they feel that that's the end of the road, and they
Right.
just have to settle, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always a passion project on the side that, you're afraid to take that leap to make it your full time position or whatever it may be. So, this has been super inspiring. And I really hope that this talk kind of encourages other Latinos out there to see the opportunity in creating generational wealth, because real estate is one of the quickest ways to do that. And the Latino community, just by fact, we don't have a lot of generational wealth across our community. And so I think that's super important that we are changing that and promoting and encouraging other Latinos to get interested in this. And with the last few minutes that we have, is there a saying or anything that you wish you knew before you got into everything? Just like a quick piece of advice that you want to share with the listeners before we head out?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's a lot, honestly. Like I told you, I do personal development. I'm all about it. I think, what I tell my clients all the time, and I live by it, is, you believe you couldn't until you did. And I think that that's super powerful, because I've worked, the most rewarding transactions and relationships that I've had with clients are those that have really entrusted me with the process and guiding them, and just taking it step by
Mm-hmm.
step, and seeing their reaction when they're opening the door to their new home on closing day, when they really never thought they'd be in that position, or ever even envisioned or thought homeownership was attainable for them, is honestly like a gut wrenching like experience for me. It's it's
Mm-hmm.
incredible. But overall, it's just, whether it's whatever it is, in life, I think people, if you really feel like your gut's telling you this is where you need to go for it. Because the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out. But what
Yeah.
if you never tried that one thing, and then you live the rest of your life wondering if it would have ever worked out?
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much, Hugo, for being here. I think this was an amazing episode. I'll have all of his contact information and socials linked on this episode so you guys can find him and connect with him. Just again, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Follow the podcast on all social platforms at Cuéntame con Sonia Camacho. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Want to be featured in a future episode? Email cuéntame.sonia@gmail.com. Thank you to our equipment sponsor, Shure.